welcome back to the GC Commons stage. We'll be getting started here in just a second. I'm Alyssa McAloon with GameDeveloper.com. For our next chat, we're going to be looking into Helpshift's new approach to support, engagement, community, trust, and safety. To talk about that today, I'm joined by Product and Go-to-Market GTM Director Rakesh Mistry and Global Trust and Safety Advisor Kaila Jarvis. Kaila, Rakesh, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks a lot.
You.
Got a little fan going in the audience there, so let's just jump right into it. But first, I want to see, how's your guys' show going so far?
It's been super fun. So for me, this is GDC number 8.
Oh my gosh, me too, actually. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Super fun. A few before and a few post-pandemic. I really enjoyed it. I was curious to see how it would go with the new branding and the new approach. But it's been fabulous so far. Lots of action and lots of people to talk to, lots of hype.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. How about you?
Yeah, it's my first GDC.
Welcome.
I'm a GDC baby and absolutely enjoyed it. It's amazing. Been back-to-back in meetings and speaking to loads of clients about Helpshift. We'll get into that in a bit, but dying to get out onto the floor as well later. And
Yeah, where you can, right?
where I can actually nerd out.
Yeah.
To do that, yeah.
So I guess let's jump into it and talk about what Helpshift's up to right now. So Helpshift recently repositioned itself as an AI native player engagement platform. What drove the shift and what problem in the industry are you guys trying to solve differently?
Yeah. What drove this shift really is I think a realization that player support is a super important dynamic. If you've ever used player support or even customer support, it's the simple dynamic of a ticket opens and a ticket closes. So if there's a player breaking issue in a game, like an experience breaking issue, then that sort of player support ticket is there to resolve that player's inquiry. But one of the things that we started to realize is that data that sits inside that ticket, the player's expressing a problem, and it's a treasure trove of data that pertains to a bunch of stuff like, how can we engage that player better? Or players even saying like, hey, that this thing keeps happening. Like when players say stuff like that, the game developer knows that maybe we could predict some of this, maybe we could preempt it. So we started to think about player support as player engagement.
Yeah.
Like knowing where the player came from and where they're going, and then started to almost just reimagine player support in that way. So we kind of pivoted the whole platform. We started to purpose build some of the tools that we're working on right now to focus more on player engagement. And it actually opened our mind up to new use cases, particularly in how our human agent factor features in how we interact with players in that way as well. So that whole pivot has been awesome. It's part of a rebrand. We're super proud to be here at GDC, and we rebranded Helpshift to focus on that message as well. But yeah, that's really what drove that change.
No, awesome. And it's a multifaceted approach too, because your focus is on blending technology, AI, and human expertise. So with this combination, why is that so important for player engagement? And what tends to break down when studios rely too heavily on just one of those 3 elements?
If we, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, if we pick just one of those elements, like just technology, for example, or just AI, or a combination of those two, you start to drive efficiency, or you start to drive like automation rates, which is what a lot of companies are after. I mean, it's no surprise, I guess, that AI is the most sort of common topic that's across GDC. It's the most topical thing outside of GDC as well. It's what everybody's talking about. We're trying to take a very different approach, but a different approach not for the sake of being different, but for the sake of being purposeful. In that, if you drive efficiency, what you end up trading off is experience. And we've been building, we've done some AI agents recently. We've been using these AI agents on with a few customers in beta, and we had some surprising results. We had expected results like automation rates and efficiency rates, as you would expect with just tech and AI. But you bring the human into the mix and you start to see that customer satisfaction increases, trust increases, players get a better experience. They're less likely to come and reopen a ticket or reopen a conversation. And that's because, I don't believe that trade-off is something that we should accept, that you have high efficiency by trading experience. So that's how we really came to meld tech, AI, and human services together to kind of deliver that.
Finding a comfortable balance of all 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I so appreciate Rakesh and the focus during this transformation is as we lean heavily into the technology and the AI, we haven't left the human factor behind, not only for the experience of the player, who's the ultimate customer of us and of our clients, of course, but also for those that we employ and that we support on the Helpshift side as well. So as AI and as technology transform and take on different roles and different objectives, then our humans aren't left behind. How can we elevate them? How can we refocus? And how can we ensure that they're relevant and providing value as well as we go through this transformation? So that's why I like Rakesh, but also why it's so great to have him doing on the product side.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so much AI out there, as you mentioned, and with all this hype around AI in support and community management, where have you actually seen AI produce meaningful results for studios, and where do humans need to stay firmly on that loop still?
Absolutely. So I've been in the trust and safety space for about 11 years. And when we started, or when I started, excuse me, it was very much human focused. So a lot of manual labor, a lot of manual input. And as technology advanced, and particularly now with AI where it provides huge leverage is at scale.
Yeah.
So being able to handle massive amounts of data and also continuity as well. So humans are human creatures. And so sometimes our own personal experiences, our own personal biases can come in and affect our decision making skills when we're in, especially like a heated or a high risk situation. But where also humans are so important is in understanding the nuances of human conversation, understanding game lore, understanding humor and sarcasm, and being able to provide the human expertise behind the AI.
Yeah.
And second, and sort of on top of that as well, is continuously training and educating the AI and the technology to provide those guardrails. And I know Rakesh has a few things to say about that as well, but providing those guardrails so that we continue to provide a really great experience for the players, but also protect them from any strange things that could happen with tech alone.
Yeah. And just to observe a little bit too, there's a level of protection that comes to the moderators as well from having that to assist them, because that can be a taxing job and a lot of like personal toll as well.
100%. We've implemented a really robust well-being and resilience program for our humans on the moderation and the support side. And the technology is great at getting rid of a lot of the noise and dealing with a lot of the really terrible stuff. But our humans are exposed to it. And especially when we talk about real world threats and things that can escalate offline,
Yeah.
you have to have a human in the loop for that. But then we have to make sure that they're protected and that we're taking care of their well being as well. And I'm very proud to say that we do that.
From a trust and safety and player protection standpoint, where do you see human expertise playing the most critical role alongside AI in those modern player communities?
Absolutely. So we touched on it a little bit in providing guardrails. So continuously checking in with the AI and making sure that technology is performing to the requirements of each specific client. For one, every client that we work with is a little bit different. Every community that we support is a little bit different. So providing those guardrails is super important. Really complex and nuanced conversations as well that are happening. When we look at some of the lore, I mean, we used to reference the Urban Dictionary all the time in terms of all the trendy new ways people are saying things, particularly if they want to try and get something through that is nefarious or sort of off the rails on that side, having humans in the loop for that. But where I really see something interesting happening is when I talk of trust and safety, a lot of companies are very good now at providing the safety, but where humans can now be elevated in their role because AI and technology is doing such a good job on the safety side is increasing that engagement. And that's a big part of the transformation with Helpshift is how are we increasing that engagement and helping companies to build that trust with their player base and with their communities so that they can deepen the engagement and essentially attract more players.
Yeah. We've been talking a little bit broadly right now, so let's look at some specialized cases here. Helpshift is talking about specialized AI agents, Care AI, Engage AI, Guard AI, and Community AI. How does that approach change what studios can do compared to traditional support tools or chatbots?
Yeah. So we've used these names for a specific reason, and that's because we wanted to take a player-centric approach to the AI agents that we want to create, and that's because players are a special breed. At least I like to think so, because I mean, I'm from the customer service conversational AI background, so I've seen all the different types of customer service tools that are out there and the customer service AI experiences that they put in front. And a customer is very different because a customer is Kayla and it's Rakesh, and you're a serious customer when you call your airline, and you're still that person when you deal with a chatbot and you deal with a human agent or you deal with somebody over the phone. But a player's not, because a player is in a persona, and then therefore they're in an experience. And when that experience breaks, they have to be serious for a second outside of that to deal with their issue. And I don't think customer service, can really cut it. So we, rather than just sort of do our own research and on a whim sort of feel that that's the way to go, we also asked players in a player survey across the board, like what makes them disengage from a game? What is it that makes them want to not play this game anymore, particularly in the context of player support? And two of the key reasons that came out was if player support is slow and the responses are slow, then they disengage from the game. And it's not the same in customer support. You don't disengage from your bank or you don't disengage from something else. So I think in answer to your question, that building these AI agents in a player-centric way and naming them as such because they have those outcomes. Care is there for support, engage is there to drive further engagement. We do so because we've designed it in a way that it's intrinsically to the player experience, and you can't just retrofit, in my opinion, a customer service tool to cut for that. So we're seeing some great results, and we, in a beta we did with customers, like as mentioned at the start of this, outside of seeing the typical automation results you expect to see, it's the qualitative results that we see uplifted in CSAT and engagement, and that we think that's absolutely important to support players.
Yeah, it's an approach that makes a lot of sense ultimately.
Yeah.
And you guys have been around GDC this week doing a lot of conversations. I'm willing to bet on that one, I'm pretty sure. So for studio leaders that you've been talking to, for folks under pressure to improve retention and player lifetime value, how does better player engagement actually translate into measurable business outcomes for them?
So, great question. I mean, player engagement is such a broad term, and it's on us to help define that. And I think the simplest way I can define it is that that player is playing the game more than they would have done before. Now, if that happens, then it opens up avenues for the studio to start thinking about how they can engage that player in different ways. And at the heart of this is really, I said at the start of this, the support ticket is a dynamic that player support is known for. Well, we're now with Helpshift thinking about the world differently. We want to have conversations with players, and we want our studios to have conversations with players. So if you have an ongoing conversation with a player, it might start with a support inquiry, but it could evolve into an inquiry about monetization or downloading the new DLC. It might evolve into a trust and safety issue over time as well. And that's how you build a relationship with that player, rather than treating it like a transactional trading of tickets, which I think is it's not that it's old school. It just feels very closed-minded, like a closed aperture. And our world is ready to sort of widen that aperture, know where the players come from and know where they're going. So that way it can open up new use cases. So we think, the gaming studios have been talking to us. They start to think about outcomes around increased revenue, increased, lifetime value of the player, increased engagement, but also knowing that, player support is quite reactive. But you can also be proactive with that player as well.
Yeah. I think I want to, do you have something to add on that also?
Just to say as well, in the conversations, so much of it is tied to the player journey as well, right? And so the aspect that we're focused on through player engagement is absolutely one piece of it. But in conversations with studio leaders and such, when you're thinking of increasing engagement, is what is that player journey from start to finish? And we in trust and safety, we're sort of the bouncers at the door, like, hey, do you know what you're getting into? Do you have your ID? All of those things. And then when we look at engagement and everything that Rakesh and the team at Transforming Helpshift are looking to do is to really make that experience when you're inside a lot better. And to keep them inside, maybe you need to go out for a moment, but then you got to go right back into the bar and all of that side of it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to bring us about to a close here, but I do want to say thank you for what you guys do in the support and player communities. Like, it's a very important area, and I'm glad to see people doing great work in there. So thank you.
Thanks you.
And yeah, thanks for taking the time to chat
Thanks for
with
having
us.
us.
And yeah, have a great rest of your show, guys.
Thanks, so you too. Enjoy your show.